The information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking care because of something you heard on this podcast. The views and opinions expressed by guests or hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any affiliated organizations. Reliance on any information provided by this podcast is solely at your own risk. Welcome to the Healthy Image Podcast, where we talk all things health and wellness. Today we have an extra special guest. I know her. She's part of my family. She's a cousin who was actually a patient of our Hill Imaging Center in Glendora. She's now a breast cancer survivor. She has a very incredible journey about her diagnosis and also her fertility journey that it ended up turning into. So we have our very own patient, Lorraine Escalante. Welcome, Lorraine.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you both for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. Now we have this platform where we can hear your story. I know a little bit about it, but not, I know a very surface level amount.
Mm-hmm.
I also know you have a very deep story, from diagnosis to now.
Mm-hmm.
But just so for our audience and our listeners, can you tell us, where you're from and what your life was like before your diagnosis?
Absolutely. So born and raised as Zusa. And right before my diagnosis, I was in the full infertility world. Honestly, in 2018, my now husband and I had our frozen embryos ready, and we had decided we would wait till the next year and get through the wedding planning. I mean, we went backwards a little bit, meaning we froze the embryos because I was about to be 40 at the time. And I looked at him and I said, I need to do this now. I've had a long journey of infertility. I know that there's an issue. I'm about to be 40. He was good with going forward and getting these embryos, taken care of. And so we did that first before we got married. And so they were waiting and we were excited. And we said, let's do the wedding and get back from the honeymoon. And then full force, we were going to go straight into an IVF transfer. And previous to that, I'd had my yearly mammogram since age 35 because I have a history of breast cancer in my mom's side. I have great aunts. They were twins that both had breast cancer. And my mom's sister, my current aunt, she also had breast cancer. And I had a benign tumor removed from the right side of my breast when in my 20s. It was not cancerous, but I had a scar. So I knew, I'm going to get this mammogram early. I started at 35, and I did it every year. So it was just something I did, and I knew I was proactive with it. So we decided, in 2019, they were ready to go, but we said, let's get through the wedding, and we'll do this right when we get back. So we did. We had an interesting year of prepping for a wedding and prepping for a honeymoon and all that excitement of that year. And then I got this letter, and I brought it with me today because it means so much to me. It was just my Hill reminder letter. I mean, it reminded me October 2nd, 2019. It's the importance of breast health and mammograms. It's time to get your mammogram. And I tell myself, God, I could have easily ignored that letter.
Especially that time. You were freezing embryos, planning a wedding, planning a honeymoon.
You were juggling so much.
I could have said, you know what, let me do it next year because it was such a year for me. Wow. And I didn't. Thank God I didn't ignore it because I had no symptoms at the time. I had no symptoms of any issues. I didn't feel anything. I didn't have any symptoms, but I didn't ignore this letter. And this letter changed my life because I made the appointment to get the mammogram. I think it was a few weeks before the wedding. And they wanted me to come back for a biopsy, and I said, and they literally said, "Can you come back on this day?" And I said, "I'm going to be in Hawaii on that day. I'm going to be on my honeymoon." So my husband and I didn't tell any family We didn't tell any family that I had to come back for a biopsy. I didn't want my wedding day to have anybody worry about anything. I wanted it to be just, and that's really hard. I mean, we're close to our moms
Yeah.
this. And so for me not to say anything to her was just like, okay. So it was in the back of my mind. We had a beautiful wedding. We went to Maui for our honeymoon, and we did all the things there with all the excursions. And I remember doing the, what is
Like zip lining?
the zip lining.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember just thinking, okay, you know, take every experience in, because I knew in my head when I get back, I'm going to have to do this and figure out what's going on. So we got back from the honeymoon, and literally we had taken the red eye, and we came back that morning. It was like a Monday morning. And I had my biopsy that afternoon, the same day I came back from my honeymoon.
When you were on your honeymoon, were you thinking I could have breast cancer, or were you just like, I'm fine, but let's go get this?
I was worried because of the come back as soon as you can
And the family history.
and the family history.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, okay, so yeah, so we did it the same day from flying back
My
in.
gosh.
And that was a Monday.
Wow.
And then at that point I had told my mom that I was going to do a biopsy. And I remember 2 days later, it was a Wednesday, and I was at work, and I was on my lunch break, and I had my lunch on my passenger seat, and I got the call, and they said, it's breast cancer. And to this day, I feel so bad for the fellow who had to call and tell me that, because my reaction was not a normal reaction. I had baby embryo on the brain.
Oh,
wow.
right.
So when I replied to him, when he called and gave me that news, poor fella, I said, no, I'm about to do an embryo transfer. Like, what does that mean for my embryo transfer? And like, it didn't sink in. You have breast cancer did not sink in until hours later.
Wow.
My reaction to him was no, like I'm about to do this other thing here that's so important. Like,
Right.
Can we delay the breast
Yeah,
cancer
like-
because I'm gonna do something else?
what do
Yes.
you mean? So it took a few hours to really sink in, and my husband came to pick me up. And because my mom's sister, my aunt, Irene, already had the same cancer. I had invasive ductal carcinoma on the left side, not on the
Not even where you're.
not where I've had previous surgery. So I had it in the
Wow.
left, not in the right. And she had it in one side as well, and she had a double mastectomy, and she's doing great. Like, I had an example really to follow, because it was the same type of cancer, and I saw what she went through as far as her treatment, and how she's just doing fantastic.
That's amazing.
And I told myself, I'm going to do a double mastectomy as well. I've already had surgery on the right. I've already had an issue in the right in my 20s. Why, in my mind, it was like, why would I only just do one side? Like, I just knew. And I had a double mastectomy within a month from that.
Oh my
Like, it went
gosh.
really fast. Like, because I found out in November of 2019, and I had my double mastectomy right before Christmas
Wow.
that same year.
Wow. What a journey.
So it was,
Yes.
it was like boom, boom,
It's-
boom.
Yes.
And the doctor said, we need to, obviously we're going to put you on, it was a stage 1. So I caught it early. And that's why I tell people all the time, all my female friends, and I have 2 nieces now, and they're in their 20s. And I'm just like, always go, like, get checked.
Absolutely.
Don't delay, because I had no symptoms. So I always make that, like, remember, like, I had no symptoms, and the only reason we caught it was because I went in and I was diligent about going in.
Yes, and it sounds like, this letter, this reminder letter is, a wonderful gift that you have this letter. It's reminding you to do it, because these are easy things that we can just put off, right? Oh, I'll just do it next month.
Yep.
Oh, I'll just do it a few months from now. When early detection really does save lives. And I've spoken with other individuals who have said the same thing, that it was caught at stage 1 because every year I'm going to get my mammogram.
Right.
And it's something that I could have easily rescheduled because life happens. I have this going on. I have that going on. Oh, it's just a test I could put off. but really it's not. It really is so important, and it's also part of self-care too. I think it's very, very important that we are following up with these routine exams because, again, you just never know what can happen. And someone else we spoke to also said, I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't feel anything. There wasn't anything there that I could actually feel. But the good thing is I went in because I had this appointment and I went and followed through with my appointment. And next thing you know, I had to go back for some follow-up because they saw something. And that something was actually something that needed to be addressed. You also said that at first you weren't really processing it in terms of the diagnosis itself because your mind was regarding the embryos and you were set with, no, I'm doing this instead. It's almost like the rug was just pulled from under you. And then you had to somehow process this diagnosis. When you got to that point of understanding and letting that sink through, what was that like?
It was a whole bunch of dips and valleys. Some days I was like, I'm just going to get through this and we're going to go right back on track. And other days I was like, I'm never going to be a mom. So it was like back and forth of being worried, going back and thinking, but I also had a lot of gratitude because I was about to start injecting hormones for an embryo transfer.
True.
And I hadn't started that yet because we had put everything off till after we got back from the honeymoon. So I had a lot of gratitude thinking, good thing I didn't start injecting myself, not knowing I had breast cancer. Good thing. So it was gratitude, it was sadness. Of course, when you lose your breasts, it's also feeling of loss for your womanhood. I had the bilateral mastectomy with reconstruction. So I had implants placed in. And, that recovery process is tough because their drains were painful. So I remember the day the drains came out, and that was just such a relief. So any woman who's gone through the mastectomy can tell you the drains are just really tough. So there was pain, there was worry, and gratitude. Gratitude that I found it early. Luckily, I didn't have to have any chemo or radiation because I decided to take both and do the bilateral mastectomy. The doctor says, your numbers are good enough. Let's start you on tamoxifen. So I don't know if you know, the tamoxifen is a hormone blocker. So there isn't a whole lot of studies, at the time, in 2020 when I started tamoxifen, there's not a whole lot of research about the success of getting pregnant after tamoxifen because you're blocking your hormones for a certain amount of time. And then, you have to start all over, and it's not that you're putting yourself in menopause, but it's kind of like that, in a way. So the research isn't completely there, but my doctor at the time said, let's have you do 2 years of tamoxifen, and then let's figure out, about taking a break, because there was a little bit of research out there for women who took a break, because technically they want every woman to be on 5 years of tamoxifen before doing anything. And he says there's a little bit of studies out there about some women who take a break. And he knew how important, having a child was to us. So that's what we did. In fact, it was a little less than that because I got 16 months of tamoxifen. I went back to him and I was like, we really want this green light, what can we do? And when you come off tamoxifen, you can't just start. You have to wait 6 months for it to completely be out of your system to try to get pregnant, whatever way you're going to go to try to get pregnant. So it really was like so many months, and then, okay, now you're going to stop, but now you still have to wait.
I can't imagine that because you're dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis, wanting to become a mom, already having in the back of your mind that, you've had fertility issues. So you've gone through the IVF process, and it's like you were so close to it.
Yes.
Even waiting, only 6 more months.
felt like
That,
forever.
yes.
It felt like forever.
I can't imagine
And being
that.
in your
Wow.
40s, already being in your 40s,
Yes.
I mean, it's different. I felt like, gosh, if I would have been in my mid-30s, it wouldn't be such a
Not a big deal.
huge rush in your mind, but the doctor knew, and he allowed us to stop and then wait the 6 months. So then we tried. We had 3 frozen embryos that were ready and tested, and the normal they've gone through, and they were sitting waiting 3. And since they were tested, we knew there was 2 boys and 1 girl. So very finally excited about getting started. We started, and our first attempt ended in miscarriage at 6 weeks.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I wasn't prepared for that mentally.
Well, you just went through the grief of a diagnosis,
Exactly.
the grief of, well, even prior to that, the grief of fertility issues, the grief of a cancer diagnosis, the grief of having to now, again, put off being a mom, to now the grief of having a miscarriage when you only have 3 tries.
Yes.
I can't imagine that.
I think that was in some ways harder than the mastectomy surgery when I had that miscarriage, because I honestly wasn't mentally prepared for that. It was so devastating to me, and I'm so lucky to have the support group that I had. There was a point where both my mom and my mother-in-law climbed into bed with me, and we cried together, because this was just the start, and it just ended in such a way I wasn't prepared for. Nobody goes in really that I know of and I had a great fertility clinic. Shout out to HRC in Pasadena, such a great clinic. But there's really not a lot of mental preparation about miscarriage. Just when it starts to happen, and it's the first time, it's like, I don't know. It was devastating.
I think that and I'm grateful enough, I've never experienced a miscarriage, but I know so many people who have or have had fertility issues where I think it is so common, but nobody talks about it. So I'm sure, for these fertility clinics or just doctors in general, I'm sure they see it all the time that they're almost desensitized to it. Like it's not uncommon, so it's not really a worry.
Right.
But to you, it's like,
wait a minute.
no one prepared me
Yeah.
for this.
Exactly. And you have all these hopes and dreams and desires that you want to become a mom. And how did you get through it? Because, I see how you really wanted to be a mom and all the efforts and everything that you were putting into it. And to experience, as Veronica said, grief with the diagnosis, grief of infertility, grief of the loss of, the embryo. How do you find hope to keep moving forward and to still continue the next attempts?
You're exactly right. And it's through my support system. It was my mom that I'm extremely close with, my mother-in-law, my husband. I mean, this poor fella had to drain drains from my, mastectomy. He had to be the one that was draining me. He had to be the one that was, at a loss for words for him to see me go through all this.
Good thing, I always joke about this. But with my husband, I'm always like, you signed the contract.
Yes.
You signed up for this. So see, good thing he signed the contract right before. It was fresh.
Know. It was fresh in his mind. You're right.
He had to.
And he is an optimist. He always sees the bright side. I'm more of a realist. I'm more of and so I needed him to be that way for me during
the positive support system.
Yeah, and he never was very I don't know if this is going to happen. That would go through my mind. I don't know if this is going to be for us. I don't know if we're going to. He never, ever said that. And shout out, again, to the fraternity clinic, who when I first started with them, they never looked at my age and said, this is going to be tough for you. Never, not once. It was like my age was not even a factor. And that made me feel really positive that this process we were going through, which is, anybody who's been through IVF can tell you that it's a lot. It's the shots and, all this preparation, and it takes a toll on your body. But it was that support. It was the support from the fertility doctors who never made me feel like my age was an issue. Support from my mother, my mother-in-law, and my close, tribe of cousins, and, all my female cousins that are always, there for me. And my husband. that's the support. And so I had miscarried at the end of 2021. And we decided, okay, let's wait 4 months. Let's try the second. So we tried the second, and the grace of God, it worked. And I had my son Mateo in January of 2023.
Wow.
And he's 2.5 now. And that whole experience was just, something that we just never were, we were just always hoping for. And it happened, and each step of the way was scary because previous miscarriage, you're always worried. But as we got through the pregnancy, there was some complications. I did have preeclampsia at the end, but everything else really worked really well, and he didn't have to spend time in the NICU coming to us early, and he's flourished, and he's just the most beautiful. I mean, I look at him and just
he's so cute.
Beautiful.
He is so cute.
And I tell people, I know I'm biased, but this is a cute.
No, he's
kid.
cute. He's a cute kid.
He's a cute one. And so this year, we were looking at our timeline, and my age now. I'm now 47. I had Mateo at 44. And now I'm 47, and we were looking at the timeline knowing we had one embryo left, a little girl. And it's a big choice because we're older, and we know that this is, you can't wait forever to make this decision. It's going to be now or never.
Yeah.
And, the options that people have for their frozen embryos that are sitting is, you either donate, destroy, or take a chance. And the first two options, we just couldn't. We just knew. We're like, you know what? Let's just give it a chance. Let's try. Now I am 33 weeks pregnant with our little girl. She's coming in 4 weeks. And we're really excited. And I just feel like I look back at all these things that have happened and the way I got here. And it feels like someone else's story sometimes. Like, how did I get through all that? Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today too is legacy. Is like the legacy that you leave is so important to share your stories because, as older parents, we know we do the math in our head all the time. Mm-hmm. We know we're older. Mateo's going to be at a certain age, and possibly, we might not still be around and, at a certain time of his life. And now he's going to have a sister. He's going to have family. But I want both of them to know the journey that we went through to bring them here.
And how special they are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They're so
they were
special.
Frozen together at the same time. And they're now going to be, almost 3 years apart. But I've started you can make a free Gmail account, right? So when Mateo was born, I started an email address for him. And every so often, I write him little notes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I write him little stories about the journey. And someday he'll get the password, and he'll be able to just read all the little different things that we sent him. But I want both of them to know the story about the journey it took to bring them here. So important to me for them to know all of that, because sometimes if you don't talk about things get lost. And mm-hmm. I have my grandfather on my mother's side, he was in World War II, and we took the time to sit with him before he passed away and get his World War II story on video. He's not here anymore. We have it forever. Mm-hmm. Our future generations have it forever. And those kinds of things stick with me because you got to keep, they got to know. They got to know.
Yeah.
And so a big part of what I would like to talk about is legacy, is like making sure that people know your story and what it took, because it could help someone else. And someday I want Mateo and his sister to be proud of the fact that this is their story too. This is how they came to be.
And I think it's important, when they're older and get to know your story, I think it's very inspirational for them. But anybody listening to this, even like
us just listening, you're going to have hardships in life, and some of them are really hard. It's not just, I lost my job. It's like my boyfriend broke up with me. You're going to get hardships, bad news, and it's okay. You get through it, which we just talked with the grief counselor last week, and I was sharing, my story and talking about how I used to hate when people would say, like, you're so strong. And you're like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to be strong. And so I completely get that, but you have to be strong. Even if you don't want to, you will get through it. And then you just battle the next thing that comes. And not everyone's going to have constant, bad news. But look at how worth it was.
I know.
And again, we'll see how beautiful she is, but
Yes.
Mateo he's a doll. He's so cute.
And people ask me sometimes, how did you know to freeze them then? Because if we had waited till after the marriage to do that, I would have been in treatment. It would have been later.
Goodness.
So it was like, oh my God, it was kind of happened the way, it was supposed to in that sequence, in the weird backwards sequence that it was. It was supposed to be backwards in the weird sequence.
Yeah.
But
You just trusted your intuition.
and I had a partner who was willing to be like, yeah, I know we're not married yet, but let's go,
Yeah.
Like how lucky is that? And,
Yeah, that's so true.
because he could have been like, let's wait.
Yeah.
But gosh, yeah, I feel really blessed a lot to be in this position and be able to tell people. And I have this cork board in my bedroom that has a bunch of very special pictures corked onto it, and like old pictures, new pictures. Like it's like if there was a fire in the house, I would be like, make sure
Get the
everybody was
cork
safe, everybody was safe, and get my
Give me
cork
my
board.
pictures,
But this
yes.
letter from Hill is on there.
Wow.
And that's why it's easy for me to find, because I'm like, it's right there, and it reminds me all the time
Yes.
to just, to be on top
make
of
the
your
time.
be on
Yes.
top of your health.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this question. How long was the mammogram, the actual mammogram? They brought you back to the room. How long did it take?
I don't know, 10 minutes?
We
Maybe more?
The
take-
procedure itself.
we
yeah.
we take at least an hour to go get our nails done, probably once a month. Not me. I need to go get back.
That's a great point.
We go.
Yes.
We take an hour to get our nails done. We go get our hair done. Also need to do that. I'm behind. We schedule time to go have dinner or lunch with our friends, to go have a date night. You can take, we'll say 30 minutes.
30 when you're waiting to getting in and getting out.
It's so important. We need to prioritize ourselves.
Yes. On something so important.
Yes.
How did the team at Hill Imaging, how did they treat you?
Wonderful. It was, we're here for you. Like I said, I feel really bad for the fellow who had to call me and get that response.
He's like, what's IVF?
I always think about him. I don't know who he was, but I think about him and that response that he had to deal with. Imagine having that job of calling people to tell them
I
that
could
they
not.
have
Wow.
cancer.
Wow.
So I think about him. I don't know who you are out there, but no, I always had great treatment at Hill. I've been at Hill I've done several things at Hill Imaging, and
I've had my mammograms with Hill as well, and I'm so happy to work for this wonderful organization where, we do such important, very precious work for the community, including mammograms. And so I'm very fortunate to work here and to be able to have this team, do my exams.
Yeah.
And then to know that I'm in the best hands possible when it comes to detection.
absolutely. Pasadena and Glendora, I've been there,
Yes.
both of those facilities.
Yes.
How has becoming a mom changed the way you look at taking care of yourself and your health?
Well, as a toddler mom,
Yes. Toddlers keep us busy, right?
Have
Yes.
to do a lot of. One day you could be like on top of it, and the next 3 days it's just not possible. So it's a
100%.
matter of, like I said, my support system, and having my son who stays with his grandmother's. They each have him 2 days a week while we work. and having some time to myself at sometimes is, and
That's very important.
it's really important. And tag team, you know, husband says, okay, you go upstairs and lay down, I'll be on.
It truly takes a village.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my mom, if I ever move, you guys have to move with me.
Yes.
We're my sisters too. I'm like, we're a package deal. We gotta,
Yeah.
we're a pod. We gotta go together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a village.
It
Yeah.
really does. In fact, I just called my mother-in-law and father-in-law part of our village yesterday in a text. I was like, because they were like, they had brought him back home, and they're like, thank you. He's just, we love having him. And I'm like, you're our village. Like, thank you for being our village. It's so important. And
Yes, and building that community, that support system, it really helps with helping you, re-energizing yourself, refilling your cup, so to speak, and ensuring that you're getting the self-care that you need to that me time that is so important, so
Right.
that we can come back to our families and give them the best of give them the best of ourselves.
right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm about to have our second, and I don't know what it's like to have two under the age of, 4.
No comment.
But I'm like, it's going to get harder. I know it's going to
They
get
keep you busy, though.
harder.
They do keep you busy, but that's where
know.
that support system, that's where that village plays a key
know.
role.
There's a reason I
Yes.
haven't had my nails done or hair done in a while. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Lorraine, you've faced a lot of challenges in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think at this point keeps you hopeful?
Their future. My son and my daughter who's coming, just teaching them what we can. And this world is just kind of crazy, and every day it's hard to look at the news, and I just have this feeling of hope for them and what they're going to bring to the world. It helps me to just have positivity that they can do good in the world and be part of a good start their own legacy. I mean, it's not easy to navigate all of that going on right now in the world, to bring new life into a world that
Feels so heavy.
feels so dark right now. So it's just keeping hope in that sense that they're going to contribute, and they're going to be part of what me and my husband and our families have always thought was important.
Yeah.
Care and kindness, and being there for each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
and mental health support is also very important too. Mental wellness, I think, plays a key role in making sure that you are doing okay. But also when you do find yourself in these points where you're facing one challenge, one situation where there's so much adversity, and then another following after that, and then another. None of us are exempt from adversity, and that is just part of life. I think. And it's how we look at it and how we respond to it and how we choose to move forward from that. And at some point, we also have to make decisions whether we need help from the outside, such as, seeing a therapist or, getting a counselor and speaking to them, finding someone to talk to help us navigate and to figure out how do we, replenish ourselves with, hope again. And then looking at the small victories that we've had to hopefully build our confidence up too. And I'm sure now when you look back at all of these different challenges and all of these different adverse situations that you've overcome, so many obstacles, and at some point you could have given up. And you could have said, I think I'm done. But you did not. You chose to continue going forward. You chose to continue to have that light of hope. And I admire you so much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, even post breast cancer, I've had implant issues where I've had 2 consecutive surgeries because my implants encapsulated. That's another part of breast cancer journey that I haven't brought up yet. And I've had to have them redone, because encapsulation means the scar tissue forms around the implant, makes them very hard and uncomfortable. And 3rd time's a charm. Last year I had it done again, and I am in a great spot now where that hasn't happened again. The encapsulation hasn't happened. And so there's it's like your cancer journey, my cancer journey hopefully is, over forever in that sense that it never comes back, but there's still complications that you deal with later, and once she's born, I'll be going back on tamoxifen because they do want me to complete a full 5 years. The doctor, my oncologist, still calls and says, "Okay, when are you starting back on it?" And it doesn't make you feel great. It's not it's
Leave
not,
me alone.
I know. and the pill itself is, you don't feel great when you're on it. All these other things come with hormone blocking. So I know I'm going to be getting back on it. I know my journey's not completely done, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, science is amazing. Science is amazing, and the doctors are amazing. And look where it's got me. Science with IVF and with cancer treatment and with surgeries, multiple surgeries. Gosh,
all the research that they've done.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I know I'm going to be back on it because that's the key to making sure that it doesn't ever come back.
Wow.
So
yes, and that's wonderful. Yeah. And you're due in about 4 weeks, you said,
I'm
right?
due
Yes.
in 4
that's
weeks.
wonderful. We're so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't wait to see pictures.
I know. She
Yes.
moves a lot every day, and I'm just like, wow, this is happening. So
Yeah.
we'll complete our family.
Yeah, that's exciting. You've waited a long time for this.
I have. I mean, I could go into a whole other thing about being 47 at this point.
I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine.
I don't feel that age, but it's the true honest, and I put it out there, and I'm like, it hopefully brings hope to older women.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we ever really feel our age.
I know.
I mean, I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm like, I'm not old enough to have kids. I feel like it's a teen pregnancy, I'm like,
right.
it's yeah, you are how you feel,
Yeah.
and it's like, you just,
I believe that
if
too.
you just have,
Yes.
switch your mindset a little bit,
Yes.
Yeah.
age is really just a number,
Yeah.
You've accomplished a lot, and you have a lot more to come, a lot more joyous years ahead of you.
we do,
These little
we do.
companions now that'll be there.
We
If you
do.
had a message to share with somebody going through something similar, what would it be?
I don't want to say just keep hope because it's so. There's days that you do and there's days that you don't. It really is. It makes it's just impossible to have complete hope all the time and be so optimistic. It's just. So I have two parts to that, and that is part of the legacy, telling your story, which is, I think, super important. And then the other part is having a support system, because I just don't know what I could have done without, I mean, my husband too, but the women in my life, like, I just don't know what I would have done without them. So I think there's two parts. It's sharing, learning, always checking in on, learning from your doctors, learning from your team, and having that support system. That's really important. Even if you don't have a lot of family around, I get there's some women that don't. Your friends, support groups. I've been involved with grief support groups. That helped me a lot in my 30s, dealing with grief. So I've seeked them out. I joined, groups, and so important. I even volunteered in a grief situation to help others that were dealing with grief, and that helped me so much too during that part of my life. And so, I think you just gotta reach out.
Find your people.
Yes.
If you don't already have them, and even if you already have them, there's other people going through similar situations that might be able to relate to you, tell you about their journey. Like you, I'm sure you were a support for somebody because of your story and your journey, and how scary and hard it was at one point to say there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
You do just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. As heavy as it feels, you just have to keep going. Yeah.
And you do what you can, I think. Even if you can only do a little bit. If you wake up one day and you're like, this is all I can do, I think that's okay too.
Right.
And there's other days where you can do a little bit more. And that's okay too. As long as you keep moving forward. Progress is progress.
Progress is progress. And if you don't even feel totally recovered from whatever it is you're going through, but you volunteer or lend a hand, you're not only helping other people, but you're helping yourself in a way that you don't even realize.
Yes, I like that.
So volunteering in those types of situations is good.
It's a way to give back too, and it fills you with hope too.
Right, it really does.
And I like how earlier you said that it was your aunt who went through something similar, and that was almost like a reference point for you
Yes.
of hope, of this is a goal. This is like a map for me to get to where she is because she survived this, exactly this. This fills me with hope too.
Yes.
I know the road is going to be hard and tough and rough, but it's possible.
Right.
It's completely possible
She-
for
yep.
me.
She was my roadmap. And when people would say, why did you do both? You only had cancer on one side, or why didn't you just do a lumpectomy? You know, some women just go that route. I said, I knew there was no other option for me because I had her to look at, her journey, and it was just, I knew that was for me. I knew that that's the road I was going to take, and there was no question. And her and I, will be breasties for the rest of what we call each other, breastie.
BFFs, but breast. Yes.
So
That's so awesome. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's a bond.
It
It
is.
really is. It's a sisterhood. It's a bond of sisterhood, of survivorship.
Right.
Something that you both survived.
Right.
Yeah.
And with my mom there too, it's like she just had her mammogram the other day, so she was just telling me, I'm like, yes.
Get your
Do
mammogram.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a message to everyone listening. Get your mammogram, especially, you're due. It's time to do it. Don't put it off. Get your mammogram.
Yeah. Every year, screening mammogram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you have family history, that is a huge part of it too. I recommend my nieces to start young if they can, if it's something that they get to do, like, because they're only in their 20s now, but I'm like, just start as early as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I had a mammogram once because I felt a lump. It ended up being nothing, but I was kind of excited because I'm always preaching to women, go get your mammogram, go get your mammogram. And it's like, who are you to, like, you've never had one. So I was kind of excited that I got to experience it. And I mean, not to discredit anyone's experience, but it was so easy. Now, again, we were talking about this before the podcast, but I'm very open. Like, I'm an open book. I'm not shy. So I can understand it is a little bit uncomfortable that you're exposing yourself, but they don't care. Yeah. And it was painless. It was so easy. I'm like, wait, this is what everyone's so scared of? It wasn't bad.
And they're trained professionals.
Yeah.
The mammography technologists and the radiologists, they're all very trained professionals. And not just trained on the technical component, but trained on the emotional, the mental component too, that they understand these women, they're in a vulnerable place right now. How do we handle, this type of situation that they're in, and doing it with dignity and respect. So that way we can get through this exam as quickly as possible and give them the results that they need to have.
And the results are quick.
Yes.
Well, I want to end this on a positive note, which
Yes.
I know we can go there, but what are you looking forward to the most with this next chapter?
Seeing the two of them grow up together, that's going to be just, I don't know.
And in a way, they're twins, but
Yes.
Yes. Twimbryos.
but 3 years apart.
3 years
That's
apart.
really
That's right.
crazy.
It's beautiful.
And that's when I say science is amazing. That's really what I'm referring
the
to
miracles
too.
that can happen.
Yes, and they're gonna know that. They're gonna know that they were together in that situation for years before we were able to bring them here.
Yeah.
And so to see the two of them together is gonna be just growing up together is really all I really look forward to. Aside from my real estate career, aside from, getting older, it's going to be watching the two of them.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for
so
coming out
Thank
today.
you, Lorraine.
Thank you for having me.
This
This
was
was-
so much deeper than
Yes.
I even knew.
It was such a treat for me to just listen to your story. I truly admire you, everything you've been through, and just how brave you are and courageous and sharing your story with everyone. You are truly inspiring so many people out there who's listening to this.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Like I said, I'm always an open book, just like my cousin here, I guess we're probably all like very much
Yeah,
open books,
maybe
aren't we?
it's in our DNA.
And I welcome any women out there who have questions or have any kind of advice that they would like to get from me. I'm ready. I'm here for anyone. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Healthy Image podcast, where we talk all things health and wellness. Please like and subscribe or share with a friend who might find this helpful. And as always, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay healthy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.